K&F is expensive and complicated. Plant material should only be collected from the wild. The microbes need to come from the deep forest. After practicing Korean natural farming K&F for 16 years and teaching for 15, I found that some myths are just plain silly, and others mean people don't get the results that they want. Just because you aren't killing your plants doesn't mean you're getting the results from K&F that's possible. Let's bust those myths. If you're interested in understanding more, I have some videos that might help. Size matters, yield too big for the bucket, and IMO before or after. They're all quick little views of what K&F system is capable of. Let's start with K&F is a collection of organic inputs. The reality is K&F is a system. We're working to mimic nature, so what we need is a functional ecology. We need to integrate people, animals, microbes, plants, all working together, recycling resources. We want to prevent and reduce any resources that leave the land, and we want to reduce or eliminate anything we need to buy or bring onto the land. We want a cycling system. In this functional ecology, we also look at the vital forces, air and wind, sunlight and heat, water and moisture. So you want to make sure what you're growing has enough water, not too much, enough moisture, enough air, enough wind, enough sunlight, enough shade, a functional ecology just like nature. Fermented plant juice feeds plants. The FPJs are fertilizers. The reality is, even though they do have some concentration of nutrients, the function of these inputs is biochemical signaling. We direct growth using biochemical signaling technology. We can do this because we establish a soil foundation with the soil microbes, just like happens in nature, so plants can live in their natural state and obtain the nutrients they need on demand. They get exactly what they need, exactly when they need it, in the perfect amounts. You can skip the IMO and still do K&F. The reality is, as we've said, K&F is a system. We need the IMO, the indigenous microorganisms, to provide the soil biology so that plants can live in their natural state. It also helps with the animals in their bedding and their feed to recycle the resources so that everything's already fully composted and nothing leaves the land. Here's one of my favorites. IMO needs to come from the deep forest. The reality is the IMO should come from a place that matches the patterns of what you're growing. If you collect from the deep forest, you're getting deep forest ecology. What happens in the deep forest? Dark, big trees, moss, ferns, slugs, slime molds, lots of mushrooms. It takes a lot of biology and strong biology and specific biology to digest a fallen tree. If you bring that into your vegetable garden, you're not going to have the biology you want to grow leafy greens or carrots or peas. If you want to know how to match your collection to what you grow, I have a guide, Where to Collect IMO. It's available on my website, fermentedfarm.com. Here's another one of my favorites. FPJ plant material should be collected from the wild. If you have to go into nature, if you have to go on a trip and go out in the wild every time you need some plant material, that's not very effective. If you're a farmer, you're busy. If you're a home gardener, you've probably got a worky job and you're busy and you're doing gardening in your spare time. It's not effective and it's not necessary. You do want to avoid areas that have been sprayed with chemicals. That makes sense. But what else makes it better in the wild? You can grow plants that can naturalize on your property that are just as good. That's what I did with my mugwort and dropwort, and those are the two basic plant materials used for the FPJ for vegetative growth. Those are the patterns you should follow. There's rules that you should pick something that's non-toxic and fast-growing, yes, but it doesn't have to come from the wild. Here's another one. More inputs equals better results, also known as the moron theory. Put more on, get it? Sorry, old joke, not funny. The reality is, if you eat too much, you get fat, you get disease. If you feed your plants too much, they get fat, they get disease. The pests come in. It doesn't help to overfeed. And there's another problem too. Since we're using biochemicals and we're working with hormones and enzymes, there's elegant feedback loops in biology that once it reaches a point, the biology says, okay, we've done that thing, let's shut that system down. So if you're giving a growth hormone, say, and you give it too much, the plant thinks it's got a feedback loop that's saying, okay, we're done growing now. So you may actually shut off the desired effect. Don't cause pests, disease, and fatness in your plants and animals. And stop spending money. If you add more on, if you're following the moron theory, that means you got to buy more, you got to spend more, you got to work more. Less is more. KNF is complicated. The reality is, it's actually rather straightforward. You have to learn how to use the system. You have to learn how to create a system. Probably the hardest part about Korean natural farming is it requires observation, and maybe that's why some people don't like to do it. With other growing systems, conventional, even organic, they give you, oh, this plant needs these nutrients, it needs this to grow roots, it needs this to make a flower, so these are the fertilizer regimes, this is the schedule that you use this many pounds per acre per crop. Schedules and recipes, but nature doesn't work on schedules and recipes. Nature works on what's happening in nature. Each part of the system is easy to understand on its own, and we just need to learn how to put the tools together and put it into a system. If you're just learning and need some help, how do you start Korean natural farming? I'm working on a book. It's just about ready to publish. It's how to start KNF. I've split it up into 12 steps, what you should do first, what you should hold off on. Watch this channel. Subscribe for more information. You can check my website. We have a newsletter that goes out once in a while that will let you know when that book is available. In the meantime, I have over 140 articles with information, but if you want the specific, how do I start, what step do I take first, second, and so on, the book will be out soon. So stop spending money to grow food. Try KNF. Peace and aloha.